The doctor didn't say anything for almost a full minute, just stared at the ultrasound screen like she had seen something she wasn't supposed to see. Ava lay there, her pregnant belly exposed, her heart racing as the sound of her baby's heartbeat filled the room, steady, strong, alive. Everything looked normal. Everything should have been fine. But then the doctor turned, lowered her voice, and said something that made Ava's entire body go cold. "You need to leave your husband. Tonight." And in that moment, Ava realized the danger wasn't inside her baby, it was already inside her life. Welcome to today's story. If you enjoy emotional drama and shocking twists, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more unforgettable stories. And before we begin, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. 3 hours earlier, Ava Carter had still believed she was safe. The waiting room smelled faintly of disinfectant and lavender, a combination meant to calm, but it only made her stomach twist tighter. She sat alone, one hand resting protectively over the gentle curve of her belly, counting the minutes until her name would be called. 21 weeks. She whispered it silently to herself, like a small victory. After everything, the sleepless nights, the constant fatigue, the quiet fear that something might go wrong, she had made it this far. The baby had been moving more lately, little flutters that felt like reassurance. Daniel had promised to be there. He had kissed her forehead that morning, his voice soft, almost too soft. "I'll try to make it, okay?" Big meeting today. She had smiled and nodded. She always nodded. Now her phone sat in her lap, screen dark, no message, no update. Ava told herself it didn't matter. He worked hard, he provided. That was what her mother-in-law always said. A nurse called her name. The exam room was colder than she expected. She changed into the thin paper gown, her fingers trembling slightly as she tied it behind her back. The ceiling above her was too bright, the fluorescent lights buzzing faintly, making everything feel sterile and distant. Dr. Ellison walked in with her usual calm expression, clipboard in hand. "Let's take a look at your little one." Ava forced a smile. The gel was cold against her skin, and she flinched as the transducer pressed down. The screen flickered to life in shades of gray and white. It took her a moment to find the shape she recognized, but then there, a tiny head, a small spine, movement, and then the sound, that fast, rhythmic heartbeat. Ava's chest tightened, her eyes filling with tears. That's strong, right?" "Yes," Dr. Ellison said softly, "very strong." Relief flooded through her so suddenly, it almost made her dizzy. But the doctor didn't stop looking at the screen. Her movement slowed, too focused. She adjusted the angle, zoomed in, paused. Ava felt it then, that shift. The subtle change in the room, like the air had thickened. "Is something wrong?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Ellison didn't answer immediately. Finally, she turned the screen slightly so Ava could see. "The baby is perfectly healthy," she said. Ava let out a shaky breath, a small laugh escaping her lips. "Oh, thank God, but you're not." The words landed hard. "What do you mean?" Ava sat up slightly, her heart beginning to race again. "I've just been tired, that's normal." "This isn't normal," the doctor interrupted gently but firmly. "Your body is showing signs of severe deficiency. Iron, calcium. Your system isn't absorbing what it should. It's progressing faster than it should at this stage." Ava blinked, trying to process. "That doesn't make sense," she said. "I take my vitamins every day. Daniel makes sure of it. He even switched brands recently, said they were stronger." Dr. Ellison's expression didn't change. "Has anything else changed?" she asked. "Your diet? Drinks?" Ava hesitated. "Just protein shakes. He started making them for me every night. Said the baby needed extra nutrients." The doctor nodded slowly, like pieces were falling into place. Then she stood up, walked to the door, and quietly closed it. When she came back, her voice dropped. "Ava, I need you to answer me honestly." Ava's throat tightened. "Okay, is there anyone in your home who prepares your food?" "Regularly, my husband," she said immediately. "Daniel, and your mother-in-law." Ava froze. "She helps sometimes. She lives with us." Dr. Ellison held her gaze. "What I'm seeing doesn't happen by accident," she said quietly. "Not like this. Not when someone is taking supplements and eating regularly." Ava felt her stomach drop. "I'm not saying this lightly," the doctor continued, her voice steady but urgent. "But you need to consider the possibility that something is being added to what you're consuming. Something your body cannot tolerate. Something that is harming you." Ava shook her head, a nervous laugh escaping. No, that's not possible. Daniel would never. He's been taking care of me. He makes sure I eat. He reminds me every day." "That's exactly why this is dangerous," the doctor said. Silence fell between them. Ava's hands began to tremble. "I want to run more tests," Dr. Ellison said. "But more importantly, I want you to be safe." Ava swallowed hard. Safe from what? The doctor stepped closer, lowering her voice even further. From whoever is doing this to you. The words echoed in Ava's head, louder than the heartbeat she had just heard. No, she whispered. You're wrong. You have to be wrong. Dr. Ellison didn't argue. Instead, she reached into her pocket, pulled out a small card, and pressed it into Ava's hand. If I'm wrong, nothing happens, she said quietly. But if I'm right, and you go back home like everything is normal, Ava stared at the card without really seeing it. You and your baby may not have time to fix it. The room felt smaller, brighter, suffocating. Ava slid off the exam table, her movements unsteady, her mind racing in circles. This was insane. Daniel loved her. He had always taken care of her. Hadn't he? Her phone buzzed in her purse. She pulled it out with shaking hands. A message from Daniel. Hey, don't forget to drink the shake tonight. You skipped yesterday. Not good for the baby. Ava stared at the screen, her chest tightening. And for the first time in 12 years, she didn't know if that message was love or something else entirely. Ava didn't reply to the message right away. She stood in the clinic parking lot, her hand resting against the car door, staring at the glowing screen as if the words might rearrange themselves into something harmless. The same sentence she had read 100 times before now felt different, sharper, colder. Don't forget to drink the shake. She locked her phone, shoved it into her purse, and forced herself to breathe. This was ridiculous. Wasn't a stranger. He wasn't some man she had just met. He was her husband. 12 years. 12 years of shared mornings, shared bills, shared dreams about the baby they were finally having. He wouldn't hurt her. He wouldn't. But as Ava slid into the driver's seat and started the engine, her hands wouldn't stop trembling. The house looked exactly the same when she pulled into the driveway. Quiet. Neat. The white curtains in the front window gently shifting with the air conditioning inside. Everything in its place. Everything normal. That somehow made it worse. She stepped inside and the smell hit her immediately. Garlic, herbs, something simmering on the stove. Warm, domestic, controlled. Ava? Daniel's voice came from the kitchen, light and familiar. That you, baby? She swallowed hard. Yeah. He appeared a second later, wiping his hands on a dish towel, that same easy smile spreading across his face like nothing in the world could possibly be wrong. He crossed the room and kissed her forehead, lingering just a little too long. How was the appointment? He asked softly, his hand brushing over her belly. Ava hesitated for half a second. Fine, she said. Everything's normal, baby's healthy. His shoulders visibly relaxed. That's what I like to hear. He turned back toward the kitchen, stirring the pot again. I made your favorite. Chicken soup. Mom said it'd be good for you, of course she did. Ava stepped closer, watching him from behind. His movements were precise, measured, like he had done this 1,000 times. You didn't tell me your mom was coming over, she said carefully. She's upstairs, Daniel replied without turning around. Resting. She was tired. Ava felt a knot tighten in her chest. As if on cue, footsteps sounded on the stairs. Lorraine appeared slowly, one hand gripping the railing, her sharp eyes landing on Ava immediately. There was no warmth in them. Never had been. Well, she said, her voice thick, but cutting, you're back. Ava forced a small smile. Hi. Lorraine's gaze drifted down to her stomach, lingering just long enough to feel like judgment. Did the doctor say anything useful this time? Or are we still pretending everything is fine? Ava blinked. The baby's healthy. That's not what I asked. Daniel shot his mother a warning look. Mom. But Lorraine only shrugged, stepping off the last stair. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. She looks worse every week. Pale. Weak. That's not normal. Ava felt the words hit deeper than they should have. I'm pregnant, she said quietly. It's normal to be tired. Lorraine gave a small, humorless laugh. Tired is one thing. Incapable is another. Daniel stepped in quickly. Okay, that's enough. Ava, sit down. You need to eat. He ladled the soup into a bowl and placed it in front of her like it was non-negotiable. Ava stared at it. Steam curled upward, carrying that same comforting smell. It looked perfect, harmless. You barely ate this morning, Daniel added, his tone soft but firm. You need to keep your strength up. For the baby. Lorraine pulled out a chair across from her and sat down, folding her hands neatly. Watching. Always watching. Ava picked up the spoon, her fingers tightening around it. Just eat. Just act normal. That's what the doctor had said, right? Don't alert them. She brought the spoon closer to her lips. Daniel's eyes were on her, focused, expectant. Lorraine didn't blink. Ava paused for a fraction of a second. Then she smiled faintly and lifted the spoon the rest of the way. But at the last possible moment, she let it hover just short of her mouth. I'm actually not that hungry, she said lightly. I grabbed something on the way home. The shift in the room was immediate. Daniel's smile didn't disappear. But it changed. On the way home, he repeated slowly. Lorraine leaned forward slightly. What exactly did you eat? Ava set the spoon down, forcing her voice to stay steady, just a sandwich. It wasn't a big deal, silence. Then Daniel set his own spoon down. You didn't tell me that, he said, his tone still calm, but tighter now. I didn't think it mattered. It does, he replied. The way he said it made something cold crawl up her spine. Lorraine's lips curled into a thin smile. You see, this is exactly what I mean. Careless. Irresponsible. You can't even follow basic instructions. Ava's chest tightened. I'm not a child, she said, a little sharper than she intended. No, Lorraine said quietly. You're supposed to be a mother. Daniel stepped closer to her, placing a hand on the back of her chair. Just take a few bites, he murmured. For me, it sounded gentle, but it didn't feel like a request. Ava looked down at the bowl again, and for the first time, she wasn't just unsure, she was afraid. Because something in Daniel's eyes told her he wasn't going to let this go. Ava forced a small smile and lifted the spoon again, this time letting it touch her lips. She didn't swallow. The broth sat in her mouth for a second, too long, her pulse pounding in her ears. Daniel's hand still resting on the back of her chair, like a quiet reminder that he was watching. Lorraine hadn't moved. Her eyes were fixed on Ava's face, sharp and patient, like she was waiting for proof of something. Ava lowered the spoon and nodded slightly. It's good, she said. Then she turned her head just enough, pretending to cough, and let the liquid slip into the napkin in her hand. It was small, quick, almost invisible. But it felt like the most dangerous thing she had ever done. Daniel's fingers tightened slightly against the chair. You okay? Yeah? She said, clearing her throat. Just tired. Lorraine leaned back in her seat, unimpressed. Tired from what? Sitting at home all day? The words stung sharper than usual. Ava swallowed hard, pressing her lips together. She didn't answer. She couldn't afford to react now. Daniel stepped in again, his tone smoother, almost rehearsed. Mom, enough. Ava, just try to finish a little more, okay? You need real food, not just snacks on the go. Ava nodded, picking up the spoon again, repeating the same motion, bringing it close, letting it hover, then lowering it back down. Each second stretched longer than the last. Every movement felt like it might expose her. You're barely eating, Lorraine said flatly. I told you, I'm not that hungry. You're never that hungry, Lorraine snapped. That's the problem. The tension in the room thickened. It could feel it pressing against her chest, making it harder to breathe. Daniel's voice dropped lower. Ava. She looked up. Eat. Just one word. But it landed heavier than anything Lorraine had said. For a moment, Ava considered giving in. Just swallowing a few spoonfuls, ending the tension, keeping the peace. That was what she had always done. That was how she had survived this house for years. But then she remembered the doctor's face. The way her voice had lowered. The urgency. If I'm right, you may not have time to fix it. Ava set the spoon down. I said I'm not hungry, she replied, her voice quiet but firm. Silence. Daniel stared at her, really stared this time, like he was trying to see something beneath the surface, something that hadn't been there before, something that didn't obey. Lorraine's lips curved slightly, not in amusement, but in something colder. You see getting worse. Ava's stomach twisted. Daniel exhaled slowly, then forced a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Okay, fine. You can eat later. Relief flickered through Ava, brief and fragile, but it didn't last. I'll bring your shake upstairs, he added casually. You won't skip that, right? Her chest tightened again. I'll drink it later, she said. No, he replied softly. You'll drink it tonight. It wasn't a suggestion. Dinner ended quickly after that. Ava excused herself, her legs unsteady as she walked upstairs, every step feeling like she was being followed even when she wasn't. She closed the bedroom door behind her and locked it. Only then did she allow herself to breathe. The room felt too quiet, too still. She moved to the bathroom, turned on the faucet, and finally spit the remaining soup into the sink. Her hands shook. She rinsed her mouth again and again, as if she could wash away the fear along with it. A soft knock echoed from the door. Ava froze. Baby? Daniel's voice came through, gentle again. I've got your shake. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She wiped her mouth quickly, forcing her expression back into something neutral, something safe. Then she walked to the door and opened it just enough. Daniel stood there holding the glass, thick green, familiar. The same drink he had made for her every night for weeks. I added extra iron, he said, smiling. You need it. Ava took the glass slowly, her fingers brushing his. His skin felt warm, normal. Thank you, she whispered. I'll wait, he said. The words hit her like ice. Wait. He nodded, leaning casually against the doorframe. Yeah, just to make sure you drink it. Ava's grip tightened around the glass. And in that moment, she understood something terrifying. This wasn't just about control anymore. He was making sure she couldn't refuse. Ava stood there, the glass cold in her hand, Daniel's eyes fixed on her like he had all the time in the world. "Go ahead," he said softly. "Drink." Her throat tightened. Every instinct in her body screamed not to do it, but every year of her marriage told her the same thing. Don't argue, don't push, don't make things worse. So she smiled. It felt wrong on her face, like it didn't belong there anymore. "Okay," she said. She lifted the glass slowly, her fingers trembling just enough that she had to steady them against the rim. Daniel didn't move. He didn't blink. He just watched. Ava brought the shake to her lips. The smell hit her first, sweet, familiar, something she had never questioned before. She tilted the glass slightly, letting the liquid touch her mouth, and then she paused. Just long enough to make it look natural. Just long enough to pretend she swallowed. Or at least, she made it look like she did. "Good?" Daniel asked. Ava lowered the glass and nodded. "Yeah, finish it." The word came quicker this time. Ava forced a small laugh. "I will, just give me a second. It's thick." Daniel studied her face for a moment longer, like he was weighing something she couldn't see. Then finally, he pushed himself off the doorframe. "I'll be downstairs," he said. "Don't take too long." He turned and walked away, his footsteps slow, deliberate, fading down the hall. Ava waited until she heard the stairs creak. Then she shut the door and locked it. Her entire body sagged with the effort of holding herself together. She rushed into the bathroom, her hands shaking as she flipped the toilet lid open. Without hesitating, she poured the shake into the bowl. The thick green liquid swirled, then disappeared with a flush. Ava gripped the edge of the sink, breathing hard. This wasn't paranoia anymore. This was real. She rinsed the glass carefully, filling it with water, swirling it to remove any residue. Then she drank the water down, refilled it again, and took another sip, trying to calm the panic rising in her chest. Her reflection stared back at her from the mirror. Pale, hollow, not just tired. Something else, something that looked like it had been fading for weeks. Ava pressed her hand against her stomach. "I'm going to fix this," she whispered. But the words didn't sound convincing, not even to her. That night, she didn't sleep. Every sound in the house felt louder than usual. The hum of the refrigerator, the distant murmur of the television downstairs, the occasional creak of old wood settling, and footsteps. Twice she heard them stop outside her door, not knocking, just standing there, waiting. By morning, her body felt heavy, but her mind was sharper than it had been in weeks. Clearer, like something had lifted. That alone terrified her, because it meant the doctor had been right. Ava moved carefully through the morning routine. She smiled when Daniel kissed her cheek. She nodded when Lorraine commented on how fragile she looked. She pretended to take the vitamins Daniel handed her, slipping them into her pocket when he turned away. Every second felt like walking a tightrope. One wrong move, and everything would fall apart. By the third day, the change was undeniable. The dizziness that used to hit her every time she stood up was gone. The constant fatigue that made her feel like she was moving through water had faded. Even her thoughts felt faster, stronger, alive. And that was when the fear settled into something colder, certainty. She sat in her car outside a pharmacy, gripping the steering wheel as the realization finally locked into place. Daniel hadn't just been controlling her. He had been weakening her, on purpose. Ava's breath hitched, her chest tightening as the truth spread through her like ice. She wasn't imagining it. She wasn't overreacting. Her husband had been slowly destroying her body, while telling her it was for the baby. A tear slipped down her cheek before she could stop it. Then another. But the crying didn't last long, because something else replaced it. Something harder. Ava wiped her face, reached for her phone, and scrolled the one person she hadn't spoken to in months. The one person Daniel had convinced her to cut off. Her thumb hovered over the name, then she pressed call. "I need help," she said the moment the line connected, her voice shaking but clear. "And I think my husband is trying to kill me." There was a long pause on the other end. Then a quiet voice answered. "I was waiting for you to say that." Ava froze. And in that moment, she realized she wasn't the only one who already knew something was wrong. Ava gripped the phone tighter, her breath shallow. "What do you mean you were waiting?" There was a soft exhale on the other end. "Ava, listen to me carefully. Where are you right now?" "In my car. Outside a pharmacy." "Good. Don't go home yet." The urgency in that voice, Maya's voice, cut through everything else. Ava hadn't heard it in months, not since Daniel had started making subtle comments about how Maya was too dramatic, too intrusive, not good for your stress. Ava had believed him. Now that silence felt like a mistake she couldn't undo. I need you to tell me everything, Maya said, from the beginning, no filtering. So, Ava did, the doctor, the deficiencies, the shakes, the way Daniel watched her eat, Lorraine's constant pressure, the way her body had changed in just a few days after she stopped consuming what they gave her. The words came out fast, messy, shaking. But Maya didn't interrupt. When Ava finished, there was a long pause. Then Maya said quietly, "This isn't new." Ava's stomach dropped. "What?" "I've seen this before," Maya continued. "Not exactly like this, but close enough. Control through dependency. Wakening someone so they can't fight back. Making them look unstable so no one believes them." Ava felt her chest tighten. "Why didn't you say anything before?" "I tried," Maya said. "Do you remember last year? When I told you something felt off about Daniel? You stopped answering my calls after that." Ava closed her eyes, shame flooding in. She remembered the argument. The way Daniel had twisted it made Maya sound jealous, toxic, destructive. "I thought you were overreacting," Ava whispered. "I know," Maya said gently. "That's how it works." Silence stretched between them, heavy with everything that had been lost. "What do I do now?" Ava asked finally, her voice breaking. "I can't go back there and pretend I don't know. I can't sit at that table and let them feed me like I'm some kind of—" "You're not going back," Maya cut in. Ava blinked. "What?" "You heard me. You're not going back. Not tonight." Ava's heart started racing again. "I can't just disappear. He'll call the police. He'll say I'm unstable. Lorraine will back him up. They'll make it look like I ran off because I couldn't handle the pregnancy." "Then we don't disappear," Maya said. "We get smarter." Ava leaned back in her seat, her mind spinning. "How?" "We gather proof." The words hung in the air. "Proof of what?" Ava asked, even though she already knew. "Of what they're doing to you. Of what they're planning to do next." Ava swallowed hard. "Planning?" Maya hesitated. "That's not all, is it?" Ava pressed. "No," Maya admitted. "It's not." Ava's fingers tightened around the phone again. "Say it." "I ran into someone last week," Maya said slowly, "at the hospital. She works in legal intake. She mentioned a case, a husband preparing documentation to declare his pregnant wife mentally unfit." Ava's blood ran cold. "They were building a timeline," Maya continued. "Behavioral instability, dependence. It was detailed, too detailed." Ava's voice came out as a whisper. "That could be anyone." "I asked her the name," Maya said. Silence, and Ava pushed. Maya didn't answer right away. "Ava, it was Daniel's name." The world tilted. Ava's vision blurred as the weight of it crashed down on her. "They're not just hurting you," Maya said softly. "They're preparing to take everything from you. Your voice, your credibility." "My," Ava whispered. "Yes." Ava pressed her hand against her stomach, her breathing uneven. "No," she said, louder this time. "No, they can't." "They can," Maya interrupted. "If you don't stop them." Ava's chest rose and fell rapidly, panic clawing at her throat. "How do I stop something I can't even prove?" "You go back." Ava froze. "What?" "You go back," Maya repeated. "And you play along." Every instinct in Ava screamed against it. She said. "I won't survive that." "You already are surviving it," Maya said. "Now you need to outsmart it." Ava shook her head, even though Maya couldn't see her. "That's insane." "No," Maya said quietly. "What's insane is walking away without evidence and letting them rewrite your story." Ava's breath caught. "Go back," Maya continued. "Take the food, take the shakes. Don't consume them, save them, document everything. Dates, times, reactions. We build a case so strong they can't twist it." Ava stared out the windshield, her reflection faint in the glass. "I'll help you," Maya added, "every step. But you have to be careful. If they suspect anything," Ava nodded slowly, even as fear coiled tighter in her chest. "They'll escalate," Maya finished. Ava swallowed hard, because she already knew. Daniel wasn't just watching her anymore. He was waiting for her to break, and now she was about to make him suspicious on purpose. Ava sat in her car for another 10 minutes after the call ended, her hands still gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. Going back felt like walking into a trap she now fully understood. But not going back meant losing everything without a fight. She wiped her face, checked her reflection in the rearview mirror, and forced her breathing to slow. By the time she started the engine again, her expression had settled into something calm, something believable. By the time she pulled into the driveway, she looked like the same woman who had left earlier. That was the most important part. Inside, the house was quiet again, almost too quiet. The kitchen lights were on, casting a warm glow over the spotless counters. It looked like a home. It felt like a stage. "Ava?" Daniel's voice came from the living room this time. She stepped in, setting her purse down like she always did. "I'm back." He appeared almost immediately, like he had been waiting. "Where did you go?" he asked, his tone light, but his eyes sharper than before. Pharmacy, she said. I felt a little off. His gaze flicked over her face, scanning, measuring. You didn't tell me. It wasn't a big deal, she replied, keeping her voice even. A beat of silence. Then he smiled. You already have vitamins. Ava's stomach tightened. I know, she said quickly. I just wanted to compare brands. Daniel didn't respond right away. He stepped closer instead, his hand brushing her arm, lingering just long enough to feel deliberate. You don't need to do that, he said softly. I take care of that for you. The words sounded gentle, but they didn't feel like care anymore. Ava forced a small nod. I know. I just wanted to help. From the hallway, Lorraine's voice cut in. Helping would be following instructions. Ava turns slightly as Lorraine stepped into view, arms crossed, eyes already filled with quiet disapproval. You've been out more than usual, she added. That's not good for you in your condition? Ava repeated, unable to stop herself. Lorraine's lips pressed into a thin line. You're fragile. You need stability, not running around doing whatever you feel like. Ava felt the heat rise in her chest, but she swallowed it down. Not now, not yet. I'm fine, she said. That's what unstable people always say, Lorraine replied calmly. The words hit harder than they should have. Ava went still. Daniel stepped between them, his voice smooth again. Let's not do this. Ava, you should rest. Rest. The word felt loaded now. Ava nodded and moved toward the stairs, forcing her pace to stay steady, even though every step felt heavier than the last. She could feel their eyes on her back the entire way up. In the bedroom, she closed the door and locked it. Then she moved quickly. From her bag, she pulled out the small containers Maya had told her to buy. Clear, airtight, innocent-looking. Her hands shook as she placed them on the nightstand. This was real now. Not suspicion, not fear, a plan. A soft knock echoed at the door. Ava froze, baby Daniel's voice again. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She forced herself to move to open the door just enough. He stood there holding a plate this time, fresh fruit, cut neatly. Perfect. I thought you might be hungry, he said, smiling. Ava took the plate slowly. Thank you. I'll check on you in a bit, he added, his eyes lingering on her face. Make sure you eat. Okay. He didn't leave right away. He just stood there, watching. Then finally he turned and walked away. Ava shut the door, locked it again, and immediately moved to the nightstand. She opened one of the containers, her fingers trembling as she carefully placed a piece of fruit inside. Then another. Every movement felt like it was being watched, even when it wasn't. She sealed the lid, writing the date on a small label with shaking hands. Her breath came faster now. This was the first piece of evidence, the first step toward proving the truth. But as she turned back toward the door, something made her stop, a shadow, faint, barely noticeable, right beneath the crack of the door. Ava's entire body went cold, because someone was standing outside. And they hadn't knocked. Ava didn't move. Her eyes stayed locked on the thin strip of shadow beneath the door. Her breath caught somewhere between her chest and her throat. Whoever was standing there wasn't shifting, wasn't knocking, wasn't making a sound. Just waiting. Ava forced her body to react. Slowly, carefully, she stepped away from the door like she hadn't noticed anything at all. Her hand reached for the plate of fruit again, lifting it with deliberate calm, as if she were just about to eat. Her heart was pounding so loudly she was sure it could be heard from the other side. She picked up a slice, brought it to her mouth, and bit down. This time, she swallowed. She had to. The silence outside stretched longer, then finally footsteps, slow, measured, walking away. Ava didn't exhale until she heard the faint creak of the stairs. Her knees nearly gave out. She set the plate down with shaking hands and rushed to the door, pressing her ear against it. Nothing. Just the distant hum of the house again, as if nothing had happened. But something had. They were watching her. Not casually, not out of concern, actively. Ava stepped back, her mind racing. She looked around the room, suddenly hyper-aware of everything. The mirror, the smoke detector, the vent above the closet. Too many places to hide something. Too many places she had never thought to question before. Her stomach twisted. No, not now. One thing at a time. She moved back to the nightstand, grabbed the container she had filled, and slid it into her bag. Then she took out her phone and typed a quick message to Maya. He was outside the door, watching. The reply came almost instantly. Assume you're being monitored. Don't panic. Keep acting normal. Ava stared at the words, her fingers tightening around the phone. Act normal. Like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't living in a house where every movement might be tracked. She locked her phone and forced herself to breathe again. That night, dinner was worse. Daniel insisted she come downstairs. Lorraine had already set the table, every plate placed with perfect precision, every utensil aligned. It looked like a performance. Ava sat down slowly, her back straight, her hands folded in her lap. "You look better today," Daniel said, watching her closely. It wasn't a compliment. Lorraine scoffed softly. "Looks can be deceiving." Ava said nothing. The food was placed in front of her again. This time it was pasta. Rich sauce, strong smell, overwhelming. "Eat," Lorraine said. Ava picked up her fork. Every movement felt heavier now, riskier. She took a bite, chewed slowly and swallowed. Daniel's eyes didn't leave her. "You went out today," he said casually. "Pharmacy, right?" "Yes." "What did you buy?" It came too quickly. Ava kept her expression neutral, just nothing special. "Which ones?" Lorraine asked immediately. Ava paused. "Just over-the-counter ones." Lorraine's lips tightened. "You already have supplements. Better ones." "I know," Ava said. "I just wanted a backup." Silence again. Daniel leaned back slightly, studying her. "That's not like you." Ava forced a small smile. "Maybe I'm trying to be more responsible." Lorraine let out a quiet, humorless laugh. Responsible would be listening. Ava's grip tightened on the fork. Then Daniel spoke again, his voice softer now, almost concerned. "Are you feeling different lately?" The question hit harder than anything else. Ava looked up at him. "What do you mean?" "You seem more alert," he said, less tired. Her heart skipped. "I've been resting more," she replied. Lorraine's eyes narrowed slightly. "That's not what I see." Ava forced another bite of food into her mouth, swallowing against the rising tension. They were noticing. Every change, every shift. And that meant one thing. They would adjust. After dinner, Ava returned to the bedroom, locking the door behind her again. Her body felt heavier now, not from weakness, but from the weight of what she was doing. She reached into her bag, pulling out the container. Then she froze. The lid wasn't sealed the way she had left it. Ava's breath caught. Slowly, carefully, she opened it. Inside, the fruit looked the same. But tucked beneath it, barely visible, was something small. A thin white tablet. Not hers. Not from the pharmacy. Ava's hands began to shake uncontrollably. Because she hadn't just been watched. They had already gotten inside. Ava didn't scream. She didn't drop the container or run to the door or confront them. Instead, she closed the lid slowly, her hands steady in a way that surprised even her. The fear was still there, sharp and cold, but something else had taken its place now, clarity. They weren't just trying to weaken her anymore. They were adjusting, escalating. And that meant she was close. That night, she didn't touch anything they gave her. She followed Maya's plan perfectly, collecting samples, documenting times, labeling everything with quiet precision. Every shake, every pill, every meal became evidence. But the real proof came faster than she expected. 2 nights later, Daniel asked her to sit down with him. Not in the kitchen, not at the table, in the living room. Lorraine was already there, sitting upright, hands folded, her expression calm in a way that felt rehearsed. Ava sat across from them, her heart steady for the first time since all of this began. Daniel leaned forward, his voice soft. "We're worried about you." Ava said nothing. "You've been acting different," he continued. "Distracted. Forgetful.
Not following basic care instructions?
Lorraine nodded slightly, unstable. The word didn't sting anymore. Ava simply looked at them. Daniel reached into a folder on the coffee table and slid a stack of papers toward her. "We've consulted a specialist," he said. "Given your condition, it might be best to consider temporary guardianship." Ava's eyes moved over the pages. Her name, psychological evaluation request, medical instability, recommendation for supervised care, and at the bottom, a request to transfer decision-making authority. Her baby, her life, her voice, gone, all signed, all prepared, all waiting for her to break. Ava looked up slowly. "You've been planning this for a while," she said. Daniel didn't deny it. Lorraine smiled. "What matters?" "By destroying me?" Ava asked. Daniel's expression shifted then, just slightly. "You were slipping away," he said. "You stopped listening. You stopped depending on things." Ava felt something inside her finally snap into place. Not fear, not confusion, understanding. "You were poisoning me," she said quietly. Daniel sighed, almost irritated. "Not poisoning, supplements, adjustments, enough to keep you calm, manageable." "You were exhausting, Ava, always questioning, always pushing." Lorraine added, "Some women need structure to be good mothers." The silence that followed was heavy. Then Ava reached into her bag. She placed the containers on the table one by one, the shakes, the pills, the fruit, the tablet. All sealed. Daniel's eyes flickered, just for a second. "You want to explain these?" Ava asked. No answer. From the hallway, footsteps approached. Then the front door opened. 2 officers stepped inside. Behind them, Maya. Lorraine stood up immediately. "What is this?" Ava didn't take her eyes off Daniel. This, she said, her voice steady, is me choosing not to disappear. Everything unraveled after that. The lab results confirmed it. Substances designed to cause fatigue, cognitive decline, nutrient blockage, not enough to kill quickly, just enough to erase someone slowly. Daniel was arrested that night. Lorraine tried to fight it, tried to twist the narrative, but the evidence was too clean, too precise, too undeniable. The legal battle that followed was brutal, but Ava didn't lose. She kept her child, she kept her voice, and for the first time in years, she kept herself. Months later, sitting in a small apartment filled with sunlight instead of silence, Ava held her newborn son against her chest. He was strong, healthy, alive, everything they had tried to take from her. Her phone buzzed softly on the table beside her. Messages from Winton she didn't know, stories that sounded too familiar. She didn't ignore them, because she understood now this kind of control didn't always look like violence. Sometimes it looked like care, sometimes it looked like love, and sometimes the most dangerous thing you could do was trust it without question. Ava pressed a gentle kiss to her son's forehead and closed her eyes, breathing in the quiet she had fought so hard to earn. If this story stayed with you, if any part of it felt real or familiar, maybe it's worth asking yourself what love is supposed to feel like and what it should never be.